This is the C.C.JENSEN VRU Varnish Removal Unit. This is a kidney loop filtration system used in applications where the oil is susceptible to high varnish potential due to thermal breakdown or oxidation. This unit removes and helps prevent the formation of varnish, as well as filtering out fine particulate and moisture. I'm going to point out the main components, walk you through the flow path, and then also give a bit of operational guidance to using the unit. Starting here, we have our electrical control box with the operator interface. We have a fan cooler. We have our inlet pump. Back here is a cross-flow heat exchanger. This is our filter housing, where the filter inserts are. This is a circulating pump, and this is a chiller assembly. The VRU is essentially configured in an offline loop. So there's a supply circuit, and there's also a filtration circuit integral of the filtration skid itself. So we'll start with the supply circuit. Down here is our inlet port and our inlet pump. That moves the oil past the pre-filter sample point. That comes into our fan cooler. Then it comes into our heat exchanger, out the other side of the heat exchanger, and then it comes through to our chiller assembly. The circulating pump moves the oil through the chiller and the filters in a loop, while the supply pump pushes a small amount of oil completely through the system. That comes to the outlet, back through the heat exchanger, and then to your outlet port back to the system. There's a couple things you want to check before you start up the unit. The first is that the drain valve on the bottom of the filter housing is closed. Next, you want to make sure that the valve, if you have it on the auto air vent, is open. And then you want to make sure that you've got water in the chiller assembly. So this is a water bath chiller, so you'll need to make sure that there's always a volume of water in here. There is a float switch inside here, so if the water level is too low, it will let you know on the panel. And there's also a spillover pipe when you fill the water level up high enough so that you'll know that you've got the right level. Make sure that if you have valves on your inlet and outlet, that those are open, and then you're ready to start the unit. You can do that by pressing the green button on the front of the panel. So when you start the unit, it's going to go through an automated sequence to make sure that everything is happening in the right order. The first thing that will happen is the inlet pump will run. This is drawing oil from your system into the VRU. From here, it's going to start by filling the filter housing, and as it comes up to the proper level, there's a level sensor in the housing so that it knows that it's full of oil. Once that happens and the housing is full of oil, you'll see the inlet pump turn off. So once the inlet pump stops running and the filter housing is full, the circulating pump will turn on, and it's going to start moving oil through the filters and through the chiller. That's going to bring the temperature of the oil down to help the varnish precipitate and to be captured by the filters. Once it's down to a proper temperature, then the inlet pump will start running again simultaneously with the circulating pump, and the system will begin normal operation. The VRU has a number of safety features built into it, and they will be indicated on the screen if there's ever a fault or an alarm. One of the ones that's obvious to see is a spill switch down here. So if there's ever a leak on the system, it's going to fill in the pan and trip this switch. So you'll see that on the panel. There's also alarms for pressure, for temperature, and for a number of other things that are built into the logic of the system. If you're taking down the VRU to perform a filter change or any maintenance on it, it's important to make sure that when you turn it off, it's going to be cold, so let it warm up to room temperature before isolating from a system using any valves. If you turn it off when it's cold and shut the valves on the inlet and the outlet, as the temperature rises, the pressure is going to increase. So be sure that it warms up before shutting any valves. Once the unit is back to room temperature, then you can isolate from the main system and proceed to perform the maintenance. There's a few things that you'll want to check and do while the unit is running to make sure you have reliable operation. If you're running in a dusty environment such as a pulp mill, often the fibers will cling to things like the radiators, so make sure that you clean this out either with compressed air or with low pressure water. And also there are some fins in the chiller assembly that you'll need to clean as well. So that's an overview of the VRU Varnish Removal Unit. If you have any other questions, feel free to contact us at the links below.